What's up, backyarders? Today we're brewing some beer, and specifically a dark beer, a chocolate milk stout from Northern Brewer. I think this is gonna be my last recipe kit that I order. You know, Northern Brewer, I wish I had kind of gotten my things from them sooner, because I like them better than where I have been getting my kits. But I think I've got enough experience where I'm gonna start playing with the ingredients myself, and that's gonna be coming up on probably the next brew day. I've already ordered the ingredients, created the recipe and all, and it's on its way to me, so we'll see how that goes. But today, a dark beer, a chocolate milk stout. I'm gonna put my own twist on it and show you the things that I'm gonna do to try to just step it up just a little bit. And I think it's gonna be great. I really enjoy brewing dark beers. I really enjoy drinking dark beers, but I have a keezer that I've been working on, and it's on nitrogen. So I'm gonna try to put this dark stout on nitro. We'll see how it goes. But first, we have to brew it. Let's get started. So here's the grain bill from Northern Brewer's recipe for the chocolate milk stout. As you can see, 8 pounds of raw, a 1/4 pound of English extra dry crystal, 3/4 of a pound of Fawcett pale chocolate, I think that's how you say that, and 3/4 of a pound of some dehusked carafa. I'm also going to add this. Now, I'm going off recipe just a little bit. I had this in storage, and I just want to use it before it, gets old. So we're going to put in this Northern American crystal, 12 ounces. So I went ahead and started the transfer. I have the HLT, the water's up to 180 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'm transferring, this hose goes down into the pump, and then the outlet of the pump comes around into the top of the mash tun. We're gonna do almost 9 gallons of water. I'm gonna try something new today. So what I'm gonna try is I'm gonna try to eliminate sparging. I know, it seems a bit crazy, but my mash tun is big enough that I think I can fit the grains and all the water for the brew inside and just do one single mash and probably knock about an hour and a half or so off, well, hour and 15 minutes off my brew time. The trick's gonna be is, are there any unintended consequences, or, I don't know, all kinds of things could go wrong, right? So we're gonna find out though. Hopefully, fingers crossed, everything goes okay. Hopefully the efficiency stays up. Hopefully we don't, have any flavor issues, but we're gonna see. Speaking of flavor issues, I usually do my water chemistry for you guys, but when I checked it on Brewer's Friend today, I didn't need to do anything. Everything was within green. So my water right out of my well was perfect just for this stout brew. So that's awesome. Let's go ahead and mash in. We're at 168 degrees Fahrenheit. We're looking for 152 degrees Fahrenheit mash temperature. Do this nice and slow so we don't get any dough balls. If you've never had a dough ball, you don't want any. Get mighty full, but we're gonna make it. All right, so we're at 164, I'm high, right? But what I'm gonna do is recirculate. So I'm actually not all that high, because when I recirculate, I'm gonna lose about 8 degrees or so. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these hoses changed up so we can start recirculating. So this is gonna go into the pump, and this is gonna go around to the backside to the sparge device. And here's our sparge device, which we don't have a whole lot of room for, but I think we can get it. Now let's open our valves, and we're going to close this valve down most of the way. We just barely want a little bit of flow. It has been an hour and 5 minutes, and I started at about 158, and as I recirculated, it got down to about 148 right now. So, that's what I'm usually looking for, is to get the most of the, the mash right in that 152 range, because that's where we wanted to mash. If you're to keep it at a specific temperature, 152 would be it. This is not, you can't put this on, on a flame, the SS Brewtech mash tun. So you got to get your water about where you want it. Now, if you have some sort of recirculating device that also heats, that would be cool. I might look into that. But for now, this is what I got, and I think it worked out good. So I'm going to go ahead and change the hoses over. We're going to go from this outlet on the mash tun. We're going to leave it right on the inlet of the pump, and then take the other hose and hook it to the boil kettle. Oh my gosh, that smells good. Open this valve. Leaving the valve the same amount open that I was recirculating with. Maybe actually just a touch closed, but not much. Valve open, valve open. Here we go. Okay, so I'm up to 208, 209, and here on Delmarva, we're real close to sea level. My boiling point is right about 212. So now I've backed the heat down just a little bit, because if you come up to the boil, too fast, you're gonna boil over, especially if your pot's this full. And I've learned that the hard way. Look at the color of that. It's absolutely beautiful. It smells amazing. Oh, man, I love a good dark beer. We're gonna go ahead and creep the rest of the way up to 212 to a boil, and then I'll softly go from a little, couple bubbles boil to a rolling heavy boil. Once I get to a rolling boil, I'll go ahead and add a 60-minute hops, and then halfway through the boil, I'm gonna add the rest of the hops. It's 3/4 of an ounce at 60 minutes and a half an ounce at 30 minutes. And at 30 minutes, I'm also gonna put a pound of lactose in. Nice and slowly, nice and easy, guys. Giving it a decent little stir will help keep it from boiling over. I would have a spray bottle of cold water nearby also. That can really help to keep it from boiling over. You don't want to put your hops in until you've gotten past the original boil, because then you definitely will boil over. Because then you have the hop break and the original boil, so it's too much. It'll boil over almost every time if your boil kettle's this full. All right, we're close enough now to a pretty good boil that I'm gonna start the clock for 1 hour, and then we're gonna add a little bit of our cluster hops. Too much. You see how it almost broke on me? Gotta be careful when adding hops. All right, so I went ahead and added the rest of the hops. We're about 30 minutes in. And now I'm gonna add the lactose. Now the lactose is a non-fermentable type of sugar. And the reason we want that is to add a sweetness, to add a nice body to the beer. So we're gonna add that in. And so this won't ferment, it won't raise the ABV, but it will raise the sweetness of the final beer. And that's about a pound of lactose. We lost our boil, but it'll be right back. Okay, so we're 60 minutes in. I went ahead and put my wort chiller, which is just a copper coil, and put that in there to sterilize it. And now what I need to do is bring the beer or the wort down to about 75 degrees or so I can pitch the yeast. And so I'm going to go ahead and turn the water on. It'll go through the coil. I'm going to stir it with holding it by the handle and stir the wort, make a little whirlpool, bring it down. And we're just about there. I went ahead and sanitized the inside of the hose. Now I'm just going to get the very end there, just to make sure we don't have any bugs we don't want. And now we're going to open the valve. Here we're just going to add a little pure oxygen with a stone. Stick that in there. Just give it a little bit of oxygen here. Wort really needs good oxygen for that yeast to get started well. Oxygen's great now, it's horrible later. That's probably fine. And this is my yeast starter. It's a Northwest Ale yeast, liquid yeast by Y Yeast, and 4 cups of water and a half cup of dry malt extract. I'm gonna give it a nice shake. And in she goes. I'm gonna spray my lid down with sanitizer. I've already cleaned it several times, but I just like to be safe than sorry. You get this far in a brew day, you don't want to screw up by one simple, stupid thing, you know? And that's that. Seal the top. It always feels good to put the top on. That means you are, you're out of, well, close to being out of range as far as being able to contaminate it. And let's squirt some inside. It's my fermentation fridge. Put it in. Stick the probe in the side here. It's going to give us an accurate temperature of what's actually going on inside rather than the ambient air. A little heater to keep temperatures up if needed, and of course the refrigerator brings them down as needed. Here, just so I don't forget, is my nibs, my chocolate nibs that I'll put in after fermentation. Here's the brew sheet that Northern Brewer sent with this kit, and it's different than normal. It's nowhere near as detailed, but you can see it walks you through all the steps that it suggests. But after you've done this enough, you kind of get used to it, and you kind of know what to do, when to do it, and you don't want to miss anything in the recipe. It's really not that complicated. Just takes a little practice. Down here's my water calcs. And that's where I came up with 8.75, but next time I'm going to go with 8. Hopefully my plan worked. To skip the sparge is going to save me an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. It just, if you can eliminate that, then why do it? So I don't know, it just hit me after my last brew. Like, the mash tun's big enough to do this, and it was just barely. But I did it. So let's take a look at the gravity reading, and hopefully I came close. So, right about 1.047. The called for original gravity was 1.049, which is real close. However, I added an extra 12 ounces of grain. So, I probably should have come out a little bit above 1.049, probably like 1.052 or something like that. But the efficiency, I think, is down a little bit because of the, not sparging. I think what I'm going to try to do is look into, how to make sure I keep my efficiency without sparging. I'm going to have to watch some YouTube videos. And I know some of you guys out there definitely know. If you have any suggestions, leave it in the comments down below. Make sure you check out an upcoming Homebrew Wednesday to get the results of the beer, let you know my tasting thoughts, and we'll find out the final gravity and the ABV. Appreciate you sticking around for the whole video, guys. Can't wait to see you on the next one. You guys have an awesome week.